This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Bristol Flyers Podcast. The podcast hosted by two bestest Bristol basketball Flyers buds, Joel Osborne and him, Sam Hardy. Sam, how are you, sir?
That was the loveliest intro you've ever done, Jolly. I like that a lot.
Oh, was it? Oh,
yeah,
mate.
no, mate. How are you? All good?
I'm good, mate. You know what? Listening to the intro of that podcast just made me realise, you know the bit at the start of the intro where it goes like, Bristol Flyers?
Yeah.
That was the audio taken from our last trip to Utilita Arena in Birmingham for our cup final 5 years ago.
Now, speaking of cup finals, Jolie, or some sort of cup/trophy, what have we got going on next week?
We got the trophy final.
Oh, boy.
At the Utilita Arena in Birmingham. Tickets for that are still available right now. Join us in the Flyers fan section. And travel packages too. Please go get them. Let's pack it out. Let's make it huge. And let's make it a day to remember.
I've never been to a Flyers final before, Jolie. This is my first ever one, and I'm excited.
Oh, you're in for a treat, mate. You are in for an absolute treat. Of course, we're taking the podcast down to the SLB Trophy Final. We haven't had our production meeting yet. Producer Dan? I know. Oh, you got the wrong mic on. Producer Dan!
I've done nothing.
Yes. That was me. That was me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the pushing the buttons that time was Jolie, and he got it wrong.
Yeah.
Danny boy, what are you saying?
Well, we do need to have a little production meeting about it, don't we? Because it's quite a big deal, this trophy final stuff.
Yeah, I was going to have a production meeting right now on air, but I think Sam needs to get
going,
going.
mate.
Yeah. It's because we're recording this after we recorded the podcast interview today, and Sam is...
I got to be in Gloucester. Do you know what they call it? Orange juice and lemonade in Gloucester?
Fizzy orange.
No, Dan?
No, I don't.
They call it a Henry. If you go and order a Henry from a local pub, bar, or whatever you fancy, they'll give you an orange juice and lemonade, Joel.
Great.
Learn something new every day.
You do learn something new every day on the Bristol Flyers podcast, and that is what you learned this week.
It's not useful, but it is something.
Yeah, it is, It very much is something. Busy week for Bristol Flyers this week. We are in the midst of 3 home games this week. We had Newcastle Eagles on Saturday.
Yep.
And last night, we're recording this podcast on Thursday, we defeated Dinamo Bucharest in the European North Basketball League.
What a game. They had the player, Shaquille...
Keith,
who I remember very well because I find that name funny. Keith! And do you know what? I found it funny last night, actually. His coach wasn't happy with him. Also, speaking of that, we didn't talk about it in the podcast. I recognise their coach from watching European basketball.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know you said this to me. I was looking at him. I was like, I've literally watched you play.
yeah, he's a former EuroLeague champion with Barcelona.
How sick. Did he ever play alongside my boy?
I'm not. I need to look at it in detail. But in 2003, their coach was a silver medalist in Eurobasket for Spain.
So please, I needed to speak to him because my boy's Ricky Rubio. I love him.
Yeah,
And it could be his mate.
I haven't done I literally have been stacked with work. So I haven't had a chance to really dive into it properly. But I obviously had to do the research for the broadcast, and I was looking at the coach, and all of that stuff was popping up. Incredible. And obviously he's only signed in November as well, so he's still inherited this new look team and making changes. He brought Keith in, I think that was like his second game or something for Dinamo Bucharest. But nonetheless, big win for Bristol Flyers, and it means we go 3-4, which means we've got a chance to go to 500 when we go to Estonia at the end of the month.
Love that.
Coming up on this week's show, we've got Pasquale Landolfi in the house. It is the player's day off, so bizarrely decided to come down and chat with us on his day off. We appreciate his time. Good chat, wasn't it?
Well, the thing is, we've had him on a few times before. We've had him on before when I was ill, and then it all broke and all the rest of it. And we haven't actually talked about him and his childhood and the basketball career, and we do a little bit of that in this podcast. It's very interesting to hear from one of our homegrown talents here in Bristol.
Yeah, we talk trophy final. We talk how many weeks are in 8 years or something like that. And also, he's looking over at us now because he's over in the corner of the studio. He's just off the camera there. Hi, Pasquale. So there's a funny joke in there somewhere. I can't remember what it was now. And also, we talk about all the week's actions and everything else. So I think without further ado, Sam, we should probably get to the interview. What do you reckon?
Let's get to the interview.
Here's this week's interview with Pasquale Landolfi.
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
What's up, Flyers fans? This is the part of the podcast where we tell you all about our brand new podcast sponsor, Matchday Live. So Matchday Live is essentially a Netflix-style OTT platform that sporting clubs and organisations can monetize their own content and bring fans closer to the action. They help sporting teams and organisations become the broadcaster with live streaming and on-demand solution tailored to the world of sports, deeper insights, richer monetization capabilities, and active support to ensure your fans are never in the dark. We're actually working with Matchday Live right now, Sam, to build a brand new Bristol Flyers TV platform that we hopefully be coming next season. But it's not just the Flyers that Matchday Live are working with, because they work with a whole bunch of other sporting teams and organisations, including Bristol City, Chesterfield FC, and our good friends at the Bristol Pitbulls Ice Hockey Club. So if you want to find more about how you can enhance your content with your own OTT platform, courtesy of Matchday Live, you can reach out to their sales team, sales@matchdaymediagroup.com. That's sales@matchdaymediagroup.com.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Welcome back to the Bristol Flyers Podcast, powered by Matchday Live. And this week, we are very pleased to be joined in studio once again by Postman Pass, a.k.a. the worst scoper player on the team. Pasquale Landolfi is with us.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. I wouldn't say the worst scoper player, but you know,
Second worst.
Nah, I mean, me and Owen, we're playing right now, and we're doing well. So.
You and Owen little pals, aren't you?
Yeah. We're scoper partners. So
You have become, what is it, like a little bromance?
Is it a little bromance?
no,
is
we
it?
just play a lot of Xbox, you know, and we play it with scoper partners. We're getting that chemistry. So
No
when we beat
bromance.
Corey and Evan, then that's why.
Is that does that make you? Is that like better feeling than winning a Flyers game, beating those guys?
Nah, it's quite irregular. So you know.
Ah, well, winning Flyers games is also regular.
Yeah.
We appreciate you coming down on your day off. Last time you were on the podcast as a solo guest. I think you had COVID, Sam, and you were
I was bad.
You were dialing into the studio, and then when I got to the edit, your audio wasn't coming through. I think producer Dan over there had obviously messed something up as normal.
Obviously.
And Sam's audio was not coming through on the edit, so I had to then go through manually and cut out everything you said and cut out all of Pasquale's answers that had a relevance to you being in it.
I remember making unbelievable jokes that episode as well. I was on top form.
You were.
The episode ended up being like half an hour long in the end.
I know.
It's like our
which is
shortest
sad.
episode.
So this is the first time we've all been together in the studio, just you.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
You get the full shebang now, mate. You get the full shebang. We're recording this podcast on a Thursday, which means last night we beat Dinamo Bucharest.
Did you not hear their crowd going, Dinamo, Dinamo, Dinamo?
I think I was saying Dinamo Bucharest on the broadcast, by the way. I just don't know why I said that. But some game, huh?
Yeah, no, it was a really good game. You could tell they were a good team. We started off really well as well, but with such a good team as well, like you knew that at some point they were going to go for a run. And yeah, we managed to stay composed, and yeah, it was a really good game.
Yeah, it really was the game of runs that everyone says that basketball is.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later on in the show, but I mean, we went on that massive run at the start. They tie it up. We got another massive run, and then it was had to keep it interesting, didn't we?
Yeah, no, it was a good game, and yeah, we managed to get the win as well, which is important.
Yeah. What was the mood in the locker room like after that game? Because I was looking at the permutations. I think there is still a possibility for us to qualify for ENBL playoffs. I think it requires like a 3-way tie and it to go in our favour. So it's a slim chance, but I imagine that must have been a pretty good mood after that win.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good mood. We're like building a lot of momentum to get into the trophy final. So it's definitely important to get the win, but we're not like too high or too low. We're just, moving forward, which is the most important thing.
How does it feel to have Alain Louis back in the lineup?
Yeah, he's such a good player. Like, he makes everyone else on the team like much better. You can see he wants to like pass the ball and find guys, and he's just a really good player, and it's good to have him back as well.
That nasty behind the back crossover he does is naughty, isn't it?
Yeah, he's very quick as well, and like 1 minute you think you're in front of him, the next minute he's gone past you, either scoring or distributing the ball. So
yeah, I think defensively as well, he brings so much more to the team, and having that pass first point guard that you can just bring in when Keely needs to be moved to the 2, or you give Keely a break, and it enables the rest of the. Gareth and I were chatting about it on air last night, but it just enables the rest of the players to really get into the game. And some of those dimes to like Kendall Lewis, for example, like we were playing some really good team basketball, and it just seemed like you guys were just locked in from the get-go. You guys had a different focus, I felt.
Yeah, I mean, it just all comes back from practice as well. Like, we're all working together. Even with like Elaine, he's been out for a while. Him coming back in practice, like he's been watching, and we're all getting like gelling really well together, which is the most important thing.
Well, I saw you guys last night after some of them together, and obviously he's been a bit injured, but he's been around you guys the whole time, and he seems like he was quiet when I first met him, but he's funny, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he's a funny guy. Like, he's like opening up now as well, which is good. So yeah, it's good to have him back.
Yeah, he's on our long list of guests to get on the Bristol Flyers. But we've got a bit of a packed schedule coming up with podcast episodes over the next 3 or 4 weeks. But we will get him on here in the studio at some point further down the line. And good for you guys also to get that first European home win as well, because we hadn't had a European home win at all this season. And the games that were at home previously, they were so close, and it was like against like Bamberg and the game against Legia, for example. And you were right there on the cusp, but just weren't able to get over the line. Imagine that must have been quite a relief to get that first European home win.
Yeah, I mean, coach made the emphasis of like, we need that win at home. We need to make like SGS a fortress, pretty much. Like any team that comes here, they need to like feel us, and they need to feel the crowd as well. So it was good to get the win. We needed that one. So
yeah, second season for you guys playing in Europe now. For Flyers, how are you finding the European sort of? It's something a bit different, isn't it? I mean, because you've been around the team, they've been playing just British Basketball League games at the time. But how have you found the added sort of flair of playing in Europe the last 2 years?
I really enjoy playing the European games. It's weird because you think there isn't much difference between the two like leagues, but I think in the British in the SLB, it's a lot more fast-paced game, and then when you get to the European game, they use the whole shot clock. It's more physical. Like, some things they'll let go, like moving screens and stuff like that. And yeah, maybe some of the players aren't as athletic in the SLB, but yeah, it's a completely different game. But it's good to see like both sides, and it does help you as well, because in the SLB, once you play the European games, it makes you more focused throughout the whole shot clock, especially when you're playing defense. So in the SLB, when you're guarding, it's like you've had that level of play that you know how to play against. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there's like a massive difference in that style of play, but like from what I see, also it's just so much more physical. You've got like the bigs are like traditional bigs, and you don't really see that. Maybe apart from like Jaguar, who played for Brno and obviously in the Super League BBL last season for Cheshire. Yeah. But like the bigs are more traditional bigs. You've got like Stanic, for example. You have like those big European dudes that players just bounce off. And we sort of experienced that a little bit last night with Taylor Jr. He was their sort of typical big. He started the game, and then their coach essentially had to sub him out because the pace of the game was probably a bit too quick for him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you definitely feel it, because when you're fighting through screens, like you can tell when you're getting hit. And sometimes they'll move it a little bit as well, and they know they can get away with it, especially in the European games. And it's just, I mean, once you play it the first time, you're like, oh, this is like really physical, and then so you get accustomed to it. And
They did call a few offensive fouls last night, though, didn't they? I know we'll get onto the game later, but I know we're talking generally, but last night they actually did. They called about 5, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, they were quite obvious as well, so they had to do something about it, but yeah, it was good.
Obviously, you've been to, this season, you've been to Czechia, you've been to Denmark, you've been to Norway.
No way.
Yeah, no, they have been to Norway. And obviously, like the previous year, last season, you went to like Lithuania and a few other places. You've got a favourite European away day that you've been on over the 2 years?
The thing is, all the places are really nice. I quite like Denmark. Denmark was quite nice. The food was really good.
Was it?
Yeah. Norway was nice as well. I think Norway as a
yeah, it was really nice.
as an actual place is actually really nice. Because we got time to walk around a little bit, but with the other teams we didn't have much time to actually see the place. So I think Norway probably. I think that was quite nice.
Do you have both British and Italian passports?
I only have an Italian passport.
Oh, so you don't even get stamped in these places,
No, I
whereas
don't.
all the others have got lovely decorated passports, and you're just there with your little EU passport.
Yeah.
We're actually taking the podcast to Estonia in a couple of weeks' time. We're coming with you guys to the game against Kayla Coolbet. We fly out the day after the trophy final. And obviously last year, Sam took the podcast solo to Poland. We're going to try and recreate that with a little bit less fresh water, I think. Are we, Sam?
I don't have fresh water anymore, so yeah.
But yeah, it should be good. And hopefully we can sort of show fans what these European away days are like to come on. Are you finding that these like European away days for you are bringing the team? Is it like, because obviously you guys are traveling together a lot? Is the extra 9 or 10 games you're playing throughout the season, is that like bringing you closer together as a group? The fact that you're going away together, you're spending 2 to 3 nights out in another country, like what's that doing for team chemistry?
Yeah, I mean, it basically forces us to spend time with each other, and every time we're together, like we're always building chemistry and stuff like that, and it's just a fun group of people as well to be around. So, it's every time we're like going on a European trip, we always try to spend time with each other and stuff like that. So
yeah, the European, I'm really enjoying the European, like the ENBL adventure. I think it's a perfect entry level, isn't it? Because it's a competition where we're actually a really competitive team in this whole tournament, where you feel like you can beat any of the teams that we're coming up against. It's not like you're playing like it's not like you're being out budgeted by other clubs, for example. It's really competitive. It's great entry level. There's no requirements on like the venues and things like that so we can play at SGS in front of 750 fans, and is a great standard of basketball. Like some of the players that some of the teams we've been able to see at SGS College this season are very high level teams that have either are up and coming like ourselves and want to play European at a higher level, or teams that have previously played very high level, like Bamberg, for example, former EuroLeague team that are now dropping down and playing in the ENBL. So really, really great to see. I'm loving it as a whole. It's great.
It also gives us a chance for increasing our fan base, because historically games sell out really quickly, but because lots of kids come to our games, we're finding that less kids come to the midweek sort of like later ones, and we're able to have people who are like, I've never been before, this is really great, and that's really cool as well.
I'm noticing that on socials as well. So I'm noticing after European games that our followers are going up more than you'd expect after a game. And last night there were little pockets of Romanian fans, for example, that let's say they're Romanian fans based in Bristol and they enjoyed last night's game because they were watching Dinamo Bucharest, but let's say they want to come and watch another Flyers game, and we can welcome them into the Flyers family. And obviously we're going to need that new fan base when we get into here at Ashton Gate. It's great to see. I'm absolutely loving it. So very, very exciting times, and obviously, the ENBL allows us to tap into those new audiences. Let's talk SLB. Obviously, still getting used to saying SLB. Yeah. Are you finding the same?
Well, yeah, I thought I messed up earlier, but it's always changing. So in BBL, British Basketball League, SLB, but I need to get accustomed to it a little bit more. Yeah.
How are you finding the season as a whole so far? Because obviously we're playing different competitions all over the place. We've played less regular season games because we've gone far into the trophy, and obviously had the ENBL games on top of that. So you look at the league standings right now, and we're like 2 or 3, I think it's like maybe even 4 or 5 games in hand on some of the teams that are above us. But how are you finding it overall? I mean, obviously the trophy final coming up, and then the regular season too.
Yeah, I think we're doing well as a team, and I mean, we've had some difficulties with like injuries and stuff like that, changing lineups and everything. And I mean, those are some of the struggles that every team goes through every season. But I think right now we're like building a lot of momentum, and we're playing really well, and we're playing really good basketball as well. So I think that's the main important thing. And me personally as well, I've been enjoying the season as well. It's been a good season, and I'm trying to improve every day. So.
I was going to say, because this is your 3rd season now, isn't it, with the first team?
It's my 4th.
Your 4th season with the first team.
Season, yeah.
Because one of the seasons you were playing half with the seconds as well, right?
Yeah, so 2 of the seasons, my first one and my second one I was playing pretty much with the second team. And then my 3rd and my 4th. Well, this is my 4th, and last year as well, I was just solely first team. So. Yeah,
because it's a great, again, because you've obviously been with the team at under 18s level, your story is a great example of players that put in the work and are willing to accept their role on the team and slowly be rewarded with greater minutes and a more established role as the seasons go on. How are you looking back on that journey as a whole, where you're sort of coming in on the fringe of the team? Now you're getting like regular slots in the team. You've pretty much got a pretty regular slot in the rotation now.
Yeah, I mean, like 4 years ago, it's tough because you go there, you probably know you're not going to get many minutes, but you know it's just going to be worth it. You just keep turning up, you keep putting extra work in, you keep doing it. And okay, maybe it didn't happen in the first year, and I'll wait another year, so it happen again. Keep putting my work in, keep waiting for my chance, keep grinding, keep doing everything I need to do. And it didn't happen in the second year. But those sort of things don't really annoy me. It's just I know, like, at that time it wasn't my time to really, contribute as much as I want to. And then obviously in my third year, there was a lot of injuries, and suddenly I had to step up. And all those 2 years that I was waiting and, just going all to the away trips, even going to like Glasgow or Caledonia and not playing, coming back. And I mean, it can be tough, but you just have to keep thinking like, just keep going on to the next game, and it could be your next chance. That next game you could be playing 25 minutes. You never know. So there's like that anticipation of wanting to play that next game. You just have to keep going because it will happen at some point.
And with that, you then also always have to be ready. So you have to keep focused in training, and your chance will come, and then boom, on the court.
Yeah,
you've got to start doing stuff, right?
Doing stuff. Yeah, 100%.
I think it's a great example because obviously we've got so many players that come through the academy, the junior pathway, players that have stepped up from the Div 2 team in the past and gone up into the first team. And your whole journey is a great example of if you are a player who is good enough and is putting in the hard work, that will be rewarded with more minutes. And it's not something that happens overnight. It's it's something that gradually happens over the course of 2, 3, 4 seasons. Yeah. How are you sort of focusing on that mentally, like being always ready, and talk us through kind of some of the stuff that maybe you're doing in your spare time, like extra reps, maybe outside of practice to sort of stay fresh? Yeah,
I mean, extra reps is like I've been trying to, after practice, do little things to work on my game, like make 100 threes after practice, or 50 floaters, or here and there, or whenever we have an off day I always try to go in and shoot, just to make sure my game is like ready for when I get called up. And then even like off the court as well, like I watch a lot of video, I do a lot of prep before the game. I don't think I probably won't play, so I'm not going to do any preparation. I never think like that, because you never know, you might get chucked in a situation that might be really uncomfortable and you have to step up, or you have to be ready. So I always try to think that I'm going to be playing a lot of minutes, and then if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen, but at least I knew I was ready at that point. So I always go through the video, write my notes, try and memorize them, and go through, think about the week of practice we had as well, and try to see the things that I've done bad, see the things I've done good, and just keep going.
Yeah, and coach is recording every practice, isn't he? I mean, he often, I see in the WhatsApp group, he's often posting clips from practice for you guys to look at. So you do actually get a chance to sit and watch back some of the stuff from training and how you can incorporate it to that game. I love seeing, I mean, obviously I watch it from afar because I just see it ticking through on the WhatsApp, but I find it really insightful, that kind of stuff where you literally are breaking down practice sessions and seeing what you could do differently for a game situation. It's great to see.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's really important, especially if you're not really getting much game time. The time that you can improve and see yourself in practice, I think is definitely really important.
Yeah, so. And it's certainly paid. I mean, you look at last night, for example. You come into the game, immediate impact. You knock down that three on the wing, and it's little bits, and you're playing tough defense as well. And it's little bits like that coach is obviously seeing, and the hard work all paying off in practice, and you're getting rewarded with that. I love that, and that's I guess if you had a piece of advice for any other players in the academy right now that are, again, maybe on the fringe of a team or looking to get a better role in the team, more minutes in the team, what would your kind of advice be to those players?
I said, if it took 1,000 days for you to get a season where you play 25 plus games, would you keep going or would you quit? So in 1,000 days, you would be in the position where you want to be. Would you keep going or would you quit? That'd be my advice.
I love that. And when you break that down, 1,000 days is
2 or 3 years,
just under 3 years. Yeah. There you go.
There we go. Insight with Pasquale Landolfi. I love it, mate.
1,000 days sounds like a long time,
It
but
does sound like a long time, but it does go quick.
It
Yeah,
goes.
yeah.
Especially when you're focused as well. Especially if that's what you really want and you're really focused. 1,000 years. 1,000 years.
1,000 years.
1,000
that
days.
will go slowly.
Yeah, that will go slowly. 1,000 days goes quickly.
There's a fascinating book that I read, and I'm not going to tell you the name of it until after I ask you this question, but it's called Something Weeks, right? And what it is how many weeks the average human lives, right? And what you do, it kind of goes through like, so, you know, don't waste your time and all the rest of it. It's kind of cool, good book. But how many weeks do you think an average human lives if it's like 80 odd years, 82 years, I think it is?
400, 300 maybe.
Weeks? It's 50 in a year.
Yeah. Well,
So that'd be like 8 years.
52 weeks in a year, mate.
To be fair,
Yeah,
if you do the math from that, you're not even that far away. But the book's called 4,000 Weeks, and 4,000 doesn't sound like we're Joel. We're getting to that point where we're probably nearly 2,000.
I don't want to talk about that, mate.
Yeah,
right now.
but you think of it that way, and it's like, yeah, just keep going, and it will happen, won't it?
Yeah,
So-
no, that's great. That's good. Let's get the podcast back on track from 1,000, 8 years.
8 years. Yeah.
Let's talk the upcoming trophy final. You guys must be buzzing for that game, right?
Yeah, we're really excited for it as well. We've been, you know, it feels like a long time away, but slowly it starts creeping up when you're like, oh, it's actually coming up next week. So
I was
we're
going
really
to say,
excited,
it's next Sunday, and it's going to come round so quickly. And before you know it, you'll be there in front of 10,000 fans at Arena Birmingham, playing for the SLB Trophy. It's going to be incredible. And you weren't part of the squad back then when the Flyers first reached that cup final in 2020, were you?
No, I don't think so. What year?
2020. Just before
No.
COVID hit, it would have been.
No.
I think it was the last game.
No, that was the trophy final. That was
no, you're right.
It was actually. I remember this day really well because this was the day that Kobe died. Yeah, they announced on the bus on the way. Oh no, we found out on the bus on the way home after we lost that final that Kobe Bryant had passed away. It's almost like it's going to be 5 years to the exact day that we play this SLB Trophy final.
And that's 5 years the day that Kobe died.
Yeah,
That
it will be
that's
5
gone
years.
quick, hasn't it?
That's gone well quick. It's gone well quick. Yeah, I mean they're on course right now for a 10,000 crowd at the Utilita Arena. That's going to be quite a special day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I don't think I've played or like been in an arena that big in my basketball career, so it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, I think when you add in the storyline element of it, where it's like 20th anniversary season for the Flyers, and you know it's 5 years on from the last final they made to the day, and it's almost the stage is set, isn't it, for a great game. Just talk us through how much that would mean to you personally, to help, like if you were to help Flyers win a trophy on January 26th in the club's 20th anniversary season.
Yeah, I mean, it will mean a lot. I mean, I put a lot of time and effort in this club, and I can see how much time and effort everyone else puts, all volunteers, coaches, everyone else. So to get rewarded with a trophy, it'll be amazing. So
Yeah, you got family coming up for the game?
yeah, I've got my parents, brothers, and my girlfriend. So
nice.
they'll all come up.
Yeah, I think all the players have got their families coming up. I think we had, was it last night at the game, we met Jared Sherfield's family, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. In fact, Jared's dad had a go at the 3-court, the Watch the Bath
really?
half-court challenge.
I didn't even realize. I was so locked into the broadcast of chatting with Gareth, I didn't realise he was doing the shot. That's great. I love that.
And this is the man here who, when we filmed the video to promote it, was the only one who actually made the shot.
He was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was a good. That was a fun little event.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Jared's dad was not the greatest.
Not great. Not
No,
great.
it's
I
fine.
had a chance to meet him very briefly after the game. He's said
Great guy.
Unfortunately, he's not staying around for the final though. They're going back for the final, which is a shame. But
Yeah. They go home this week, but it's actually Jared's birthday today, isn't it?
it is Jared Sherfield's birthday today. Happy birthday to Jared Sherfield. Hope you're. I'm sure he's doing something special right now. It's gonna be fun. Day off, isn't it, for the players? Well, I've got to push tickets while talking about the trophy final. The tickets are still available for the trophy final at the Flyers fan section on January 26th, Utilita Arena in Birmingham. Coach packages are also available for that game right now as well. Limited spaces are left. I'm going to be going up on the supporters coach to interview, or speak to a few fans for the podcast when we take it to the Utility Arena next week. So if you see me, come over, say hello, and you could appear on the Flyers pod. Pasquale, let's talk about spare time. You are a man now that is relieved of their university duties.
Yeah.
So you must have a lot of spare time on your hands.
Yeah, well, I'm not quite relieved. I've still got one little thing. I've got my Viva to do, but
okay.
I've written everything up, so that's literally all I have left to do, which is basically it's an exam, and they test me on what I did.
Like a speaking exam.
Yeah, speaking exam. But apart from that, right now I'm just doing little things like learning how to code. Thought that would be quite a cool little thing to learn.
What language?
Python.
Nice.
Yeah. It's going all right. It's like yeah. It can be quite challenging, but it's quite cool with some of the things that you can do with Python. So yeah, I'm learning that, and then I've been cooking a lot, like really focusing on my nutrition. I think that would, because I've got a little bit more spare time. I think I can spend some time cooking more.
Yeah. What's on the Landolfi menu these days?
Well, last year I had mostly Italian like cuisine, like pasta and stuff like that. Now I try and mix it up a little bit, have some rice and chicken, and make some dishes here and there. So
We're swapping the pasta for the rice. Love to see
Not
it. We're
all-
branching
not-
out, mate. We're branching
we're
out.
branching out, but it's not. It's still mainly pasta.
Have we got
so-
the potatoes yet?
Yeah, no, we got potatoes.
Do you make pasta from scratch?
No.
Have you ever?
No, I've never made it. I've seen my mum made it and my grandma. She
You
used
got to get into that, my man.
to- Yeah, I know. It's good. But it's just so much time, and it's so messy as well, because flour is everywhere. And
And if you buy, my issue with stuff like that is if you buy good quality pasta,
yeah.
the difference is you can tell the difference, but it's
Yeah.
not quite enough, is it?
No, it's not. But I just don't have time. To
That's my
sit
view
there
on
and
Yorkshire
do all
puddings.
this.
Homemade Yorkshire puddings versus Aunt Bessie's, right? Homemade, if you get it right, are the best. They are the best. But if you don't get it right, they're horrible. And Aunt Bessie's do enough for me to be like, right, I'm just going to go with them. I know some people are going to hate me for that, but that's just how I see it.
I
Joel.
just think they're like a really weird shape and a really weird size. And when you put them in the oven, the Aunt Bessie's, they never cook properly throughout the full consistency. The middle is always still very saggy and the edges get really crispy.
You're doing it wrong. You got your oven too hot then, Joel.
Yeah. Just Dan, do you like Yorkshire puddings?
I was just going to say other Yorkshire pudding brands are available.
Well, I'm looking for a personal deal with Aunt Bessie, so...
Pasquale, one last thing we want to do before we get on to our Wrong Answers Only feature is our little Run It Back feature. We never did this with you last time you were on, or we might have done, and it got cut out in the end because Sam couldn't talk. But we like to get players, when we get players on, we like to find out more about their history, how they got into the game. And like myself, you are a Dorchester-onian.
Yep.
Dorchesteronian.
You are from Dorchester. We
Sorry
both grew
about
up in
that,
the
guys.
same, got the same hometown, Dorchester. Up the Dorch.
Up the
Up the torch.
How old are you now?
23.
Yes, you're still... This is the thing, because you've been around so long, you're still really young in it, aren't you, in your career, really?
Yeah.
Because you are, I'll say it, you are 10 years younger than I am. So you would have been around Dorchester growing up in sort of a different basketball era than when I would have been growing up. Because I think back when I was growing up in Dorch, the nearest National League team I could play at under 15s was it was Bridport Evolution at the time. So I played under 15s National League for Bridport, and then I had to drive 45 minutes from Dorchester to Bournemouth/Poole to train twice a week for Dorset Storm.
Yeah, I mean, that was the problem when growing up. There wasn't many basketball teams. I think when I started playing, Weymouth, they had a team. There was Dorset, and there was Salisbury.
But were these
Tall Bay, or was that too far?
No, that's too far.
Too far.
Yeah.
But were these weren't National League teams? They
no,
were.
I mean, well, the thing is that in Dorchester there was nothing, so my dad made a team, Dorchester Tigers, and then we play in that. But we started very locally. We were literally only playing against Weymouth, Dorset, Storm, and Salisbury, and we were just playing just local league games pretty much for about 2 or 3 seasons, and then our first National League year was my under 14s, I think. With Dorchester, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, and then my dad built the club to get bigger and bigger, and then we ended up joining under 16s National League and then under 18s as well.
And is that club still going now?
No, we moved to Hereford, so the club folded. and then so
That's a shame, and that's the thing. It takes someone like your dad, I suppose. And I bet he put hours and hours into that thing.
You put a lot of work into it, and it was a shame that it folded because it was like quite a big community. Quite a lot of people like enjoyed it, but it's just when you've only got like a few coaches, 2 or 3 coaches, it's difficult for it to like keep going. So.
Yeah, it is so tough. I mean, like, because there was nothing when I was growing up. There was literally nothing. Like for National League, if you were at a certain level and wanted to play at the highest level, there was no way for you to get noticed or recognised as a player. And the nearest National League team was like 45 minutes away.
Yeah. Same. To be fair, we were in the Oval and Taunton Tigers, believe it or not, we had
a lot of
rivalry
games against Taunton Tigers.
But they were 45 minutes to an hour away, and that was the same thing. Like, I had to go there every day. But I had a bus route. I don't know if you could get on the bus.
No. We had to. It's literally parents driving you up there.
It's literally like all countryside roads as
like,
well. That's
so many like committed parents to like we used to alternate who would do it we trained twice a week as well, so you do Tuesday and Thursday.
Was there a couple of you who would go, or was it just,
there was like 2 or 3 of us from Dorchester that would go up and do it, but like that I feel like to grow the sport you do need more National League teams like that in those smaller areas, because otherwise they are commuting so far away to actually play some basketball. Without these people that run these clubs and to grow the sport, especially in these smaller areas, you like Bristol is great, like having this club here, but like there's so many places that people probably travel so far in to come to Bristol to actually play National League at the Flyers junior levels that they probably easily have clubs on their own doorsteps, and there'd be way more teams out there.
Yeah, I mean, it is really important because if I didn't have that team in Dorchester, my dad never made that team, I wouldn't be in the position that I am today. Or even the fact that if I didn't have that area or like that possibility of playing basketball, I wouldn't get good enough to play for teams in bigger cities like Bristol, for example. So just having something there and getting some enthusiasm in kids to play basketball, it sort of like fast tracks them wanting to play more, and then it allows them to go to places like Bristol who have big teams and stuff like that to really show out there. So it is really important.
You need National League experience, don't you? Because you get to see. Oh my goodness! Like I remember the first time I went to London, and inner city London, we played against. I can't remember who it was, maybe Barking Abbey or someone, and I was just like flipping it. This is like this is
completely different when you go to like bigger cities. But again, I think the issue is that actually starting somewhere. That's what is really important, and especially in these little towns where there's literally no basketball going on.
Yeah. So what was it that ended up resulting in you that ended up in Bristol then?
So pretty much I finished my GCSEs. My parent and my dad moved job to Hereford, and then I went to school in Hereford. Hereford's not too far from Bristol, and I wanted to challenge myself, play at a high level. There wasn't really a team in Hereford, so it was quite difficult for me to play there. So I was like, Bristol's a pretty good. I know Coach Bourne as well. I knew him from like national team stuff and Southwest and all the rest of it. So it was pretty much a no-brainer for me. So I used to take the train from Hereford to Bristol every Tuesday and Thursday. I was like an hour and a half. So I'd finish school. Well, I finished sixth form at like 3:30, and I would just get straight to the train station, go to Bristol, then at Parkway, walk down to SGS, train for 2 hours, and then get the train back, get home at like 11 or 11:30, eat, go to sleep, and then I'll have another day at school the next day. So
that's crazy.
That is mad.
And during A levels, that was tough as well, because obviously I had like exams and everything else, so it was studying on the train and doing all that stuff. And
you've been juggling your studies and basketball for ages.
Yeah, it's been a long wild. So.
It's crazy that the amount of hours that people don't see behind the scenes for people to get to where they are in the basketball scene. It's unappreciated. It takes a lot out of you. It's a very demanding business area to be in, isn't it? And the credit to you, mate, for putting those hours in and being where you are now, and now being in this position where you're playing for the first team. Love it. It's a great story.
At least I suppose you could have done coursework and stuff on the train, right? And did you?
Oh, I didn't really have much coursework. I was just doing mostly most of my course was exams. So I was literally studying, actually writing notes and doing stuff like that on the train. So
what a mate. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I was going to mention one more thing, mate. You actually bought in, we were talking about things you do in your spare time earlier. I forgot to mention, you had actually bought in your Scorpa cards, didn't you?
Yeah. I was hoping I was going to beat Sam on the podcast, but...
I just don't think that playing a game of Scorpa right now is going to be suitable for the podcast listener listening along.
This game, honestly, me and my wife play it all the time at the moment. I got a magic trick for you, Joel. You ready?
Oh, go on.
You ready?
Yeah,
So this is here. Oh, it's gone.
Hey!
Whoa! Whoa!
Jeez! The Bristol Flyers podcast has just got magical.
It's always been magic, Joel. It's always been magic.
I like it, mate. I like it. Right, Pasquale, great chat. Let's get to our next segment of the podcast, which is wrong answers only.
Okay.
Have you heard this segment on the podcast?
I have heard,
this
yeah.
season?
I mean, I think I did a little bit earlier on about the weeks stuff. I think that was I've been doing it throughout the whole stuff.
Wrong answers only. We only live for 8 years. Yeah.
Oh,
Cheers,
yeah.
mate.
Yeah, right. I think, producer Dan, the score to beat is 11. Is that right?
I think it might be. Yeah, we've had a few double figures so far, which is good. People getting 10. 10's about the average.
Yeah, 10 is
Okay.
good. So just to give it a quick rundown, we put 30 seconds on the clock. The catch is you have to answer as many questions, but with wrong answers only.
Okay.
So if I say to you, what sport do you play?
Football.
You say football, and that is a wrong answer. Congratulations.
We got some criticism for not reading the questions quick enough, Joel, so we need to be on it, okay?
Okay, we will try as hard as we can. Sam, are you ready with the clock?
Your time starts.
Whoa. Pasquale Landolfi, you have 30 seconds on the clock. It is wrong answers only. Your time starts now. What is your name?
Steve.
Who are we playing in the SLB Trophy Final at the end of the month?
Cheshire.
Name a vegetable.
Apple.
What does SLB stand for?
Second league basketball.
What noise does a cat make?
Name 3 Bristol Flyers players.
Flip. Wayne Rooney, LeBron James, and Kyle Lowry.
What colour is an orange?
Red.
What rhymes with Pasquale?
I don't know. Yellow.
Perfect. Yellow does not rhyme with Pasquale, and that is the correct answer.
That 3 Bristol Flyers players was a mean question,
That was
Joel.
hard.
I could just say Joel, Sam, and Dan.
Yeah, you could have done.
Yeah.
Producer Dan, how many answers?
So
correctly?
that's technically 3 answers then. So I get 3 points because I had to write 3 times.
I mean, if you're playing, I don't know. Producer Dan?
Producer Dan, you're in
Now,
charge.
officially, 6.5. Because the
that's rubbish.
SLB question, one of the B is basketball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
I think it's right.
That's all right.
Okay, fine,
It doesn't.
seven then.
The answer is it doesn't stand for Super League basketball.
Yeah,
it stands
okay.
for Sunday League basketball.
Second league, he said.
Oh,
Second
second
league.
league. Well, Sunday League, same thing. 7. Congratulations, Pasquale. You got a grand total of 7.
Thank you.
7. Right, it's time for us, Sam, on that note, to get to the news.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Right, we had 2 games on the cards since our last podcast episode. We are in the midst of a 3-game week. 3 home games, in fact. Let's run it back to Saturday night, where it was our little dress rehearsal, Sam, for the SLB Trophy Final. And the Flyers came out on top against Newcastle Eagles, 98 points to 94.
Good game. Really, really high-scoring game.
It was a good game. I felt the scoreline does not reflect how well we performed that game. In that game,
Really
I
agree.
believe. What were your thoughts, Pasquale? It's hard to think back on that game now because it happened. We had the game in between, but
Well, you could just see like the caliber of players that Newcastle have and the potential that they like how much damage they can do. But yeah, again, if we're focused on us and we dictate the tempo and everything, then yeah, there's no question that we can come through. But again, you can see the caliber of players that they have, and yeah.
I know we mentioned it earlier, but I think also having a lane back is going to be useful for this,
Yeah,
for the final,
100%.
which because they were full strength, weren't they? They didn't have anyone out, and
Yeah.
so although they've got a new player now.
well,
don't
Elaine
they?
didn't play this game.
No, that's what I'm saying. They so that's good. We've got extras, but did they have a full
Well, they
squad?
had Pulliam. They just signed him, and he didn't play in the game because he's not registered in time.
It's time for British Basketball Beef. Sponsored by Cow and Sow.
I got some beef, Joel.
Oh, let's hear some beef. I love beef.
I don't like how, I don't know if you mentioned this before, I can't remember, I'm going to go on about it. I don't like how someone can be signed this late on and still be able to play in the final of a competition, even though they haven't played in any of the group, any of the knockouts, and then they get to come back and play in the final.
So, I have a little bit of insight for you here.
Okay, let me hear.
My understanding, and I need to have clarification on this, is that you cannot have a player... So you cannot sign a player and play them in a major final if you've registered them after 2 weeks before the final.
Okay, so have I just called out beef too early and got it absolutely wrong?
So maybe, I mean, I need full confirmation on this because I don't want to speculate anything, but I'm not sure he can play in the final.
Ooh.
Watch the space.
Watch his space. Okay, hey, that's good to know. Even though, we still will have had the semis by that point. So over 2 weeks ago, we've had the semi-finals, so he still could have played in the final if they had registered in time.
I believe the rule is up until 2 weeks before the final, you cannot register any new players to play in the final to essentially stop players from doing exactly that, to just sign a massive NBA player before the trophy final.
Yeah, but their semi-final was December the 23rd. That's way more than 2 weeks before the final.
Yeah,
or 22nd.
But he only signed...
No, I know he did, but I'm saying as a general rule, I find it weird that you could still sign someone just for a final if you knew, because they did know.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I mean, it was always known they were looking for a more traditional point guard. They didn't have a traditional point guard on their team. They've tried a few different players. It's not seemed to work. We'll do a full I think next week's show, we are looking to do a full trophy final preview, so we can chat about this in more detail on next week's show, but... I think they were always looking for... They'd never had that traditional point guard position. And I felt that was a key area that we actually exploited quite a lot in that game. Keedy Johnson going nuts. Big game for him.
How many points did he get?
30 points he had. Got to the foul line a lot. Got it here. Where are my notes? 30 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 4 steals, over 60% from the field.
Shee, he was on one, wasn't he?
And you add to that, he got multiple trips to the free throw line, 11 for 12.
Gosh.
So that is all the inklings of them not having a player that can guard Keedy Johnson. So
He was unreal, wasn't it? Do you like playing McKeedy?
Yeah, no, Keedy's an unreal player. You can do everything: pass, play defense, score the ball, rebound. Yeah, you can do everything.
Yeah, it was a big confidence-boosting performance for Flyers, because I think now, because you're going into this final next weekend knowing that you can beat this team. Yeah. And I feel like it maybe in previous years or previously in the league, when you have a big game like that against a top team, you look in the league over the last few, or the teams that would have made a final over the last few years, early BBL years, would have always been Leicester or Newcastle, or it always would have been London Lions with all the cash injected into them. This year, you're going into a final where I honestly cannot call this game. It could go either way. And that's what's so exciting about it. It's not like you're playing against, it's not like we're the massive underdogs that you're playing against London Lions who have all this money and Sam Decker on their team. You're not playing against the you're playing against the most decorated team in British basketball history, all the titles they have. But this year we've proven we can just go out there and beat them, which we did on Sunday.
Yeah, and it's not as if they're killing everything this year either, is it?
No, we're both playing in ENBL. It's like the two ENBL teams that are going up against each other. They're having a great season in ENBL, by the way. They're top of their table. They're 7-1, I think it is, at the time of recording.
Oh my goodness, they're killing it.
They're going to finish top of their group.
Whereas if you look at the SLB, they've got the same amount of losses as us. We've just had 2 less games than them.
They're 5-5, and we are 3-5. So obviously we have the games in hand, and they're very, very evenly matched. I think it's going to be a real chess game, isn't it? And it's one of those ones, isn't it? That game on Saturday where and we spoke about it on the pod last week, but they were sort of throwing different things at you, but it's almost like you don't want to show too much as a coach because you want to save something off for the final, and maybe both coaches have something up their sleeves that they didn't want to really fully show on that game, because then teams can adjust for that. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, people coaches can hide things at the end of the day, but I think the team concepts always pretty much stay the same. So you can sort of have a rough idea of, what what the team's going to be like and stuff like that. So
Well, they might hide like a particular out of bounds play or
Yeah.
something, but
Yeah.
if they need those 2 points at a particular moment, but they can't.
Yeah.
The general vibe of the team will stay.
it will always stay. So like you can.
Yeah, the team. You're not going to change team identity in 2
No,
weeks. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
like, a lot of what you see, like you say, a couple of out of bounds plays, maybe throw a couple extra plays either
Yeah.
way, maybe something different on defense or something. But
Yeah, P's not going to be our starting 5-man, is he? Let's be honest.
maybe you throw
Postman
some
pass.
Postman pass. Get Postman pass back out there. Let's run through the scorers in this game then. Keely Johnson, of course, led the way, 30.6 assists, 4 steals on 60% shooting, or 66% shooting from the field. This was a game, crazy numbers, 5 players for Flyers in double figures scoring. Keely would say led the way on 30. Damon Robinson, 23.7 rebounds. Kendall Lewis with a double-double of 12 and 11. Then you go down further down, Jared Sherfield with 17 points, and then Evan Walsh, 10 points and 6 assists off the bench, and he actually was listed as a game time decision in that game.
Yep.
Seemed to be all right to me.
Played very well.
Did play very well. It means, as you say, Flyers improved to 3-5 in the regular season, and with those couple of games in hand on Newcastle and the rest of I think it's like 4 games on the rest of the hand now, the rest of the league, chance to really move up those league standings. We don't actually play a league game now for quite a while because we have.
So we play on Sunday. Oh, no,
It's
that's
the cup quarterfinal.
Of course,
so we've
it
literally
is.
just gone from we've just gone from that league game to then playing ENBL to then playing cup quarterfinal to now then playing trophy final
4 and 4.
to then going back to ENBL. It's not like you get a chance to really focus in on a specific competition, is it? I imagine that can be quite daunting for you guys.
Yeah, but I think it's just
They're all
another
games, aren't they? Yeah.
So you sort of get like a rough idea of why the game's important as well. But at the end of the day, we're trying to win every single game. So
Yeah, and out of that
anything
4,
doesn't change.
the final's the one that like matters most, I suppose. isn't
yeah, I
it?
mean,
So-
well, we have the game on Sunday, so we focus on that on Sunday. But that week coming up to the final, that is literally all everyone's going to be thinking about.
It's actually really good we've got a full week, no midweek games,
Yeah.
no. It's going to be tough to then focus on the game after that, isn't it? 2
Yeah.
days later in
Yeah.
ENBL, but hey, the final's got to come first.
Yeah. Well, just looking back on that game against Newcastle, Keely Johnson's performance earned himself a spot in the Super League Basketball Team of the Week. He's regular in there now these days. And then we get on to last night's game, which was against Dinamo Bucharest in the European North Basketball League. And this game, like as we said at the top of the show, was very much a game of runs. We went out the block strong in that first quarter. Only conceded 9 points, and I think it was like a 17 or 18 point lead after one.
We're 24-9 after 1.
Yeah. Great. Like, what the energy to come out of that energy and to be able to hold a team to 9 points in a quarter. We did that twice in the game against Bucharest. We actually held them to 9 points in the first, and we held them to 9 points in the fourth as well.
Really?
Yeah.
And actually, not only did we hold them to 9 points in the first, we held them to 2 points for 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they scored 13 points in the last 16 minutes of the game.
Shoo!
Yeah, I mean that's you can see how like focused we are defensively as well. Like I think we want to be a defensively minded team. So
Well, there was a moment. There was a couple of nice blocks in a row last night. I think Kendall had one and Damon had one. It was.
Oh, I tell you who else had a block. Evan Walsh at the end of the third quarter buzzer.
and he was fired up, wasn't
yeah,
he?
he was.
Yeah, I was saying
quite
on the
funny.
commentary, I was like, that's one that's definitely going in his group chat and probably all over his Instagram story as well. Because he doesn't often get up there like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got it was a good block as well, especially at the end of the quarter. So.
It could have been. Not that it was close to being, but it could have been a foul as well, which would have been like
Yeah.
it was a momentum changer because they would have had 2 shots at the line. So I think a big momentum changer. There was a moment where Mr. Owen McCormack hit 3 threes in a
Yeah.
row and got both defensive rebounds at the other end. So
That was huge. I keep thinking, like, and we were saying it on commentary, like, Owen, when he gets the ball in rhythm like that, just shoot the ball. And we're just like, just please shoot the ball. game because like it's not a bad shot.
I got a question for you, Pasquale.
Yeah.
You've just hit 3 threes in a row.
Yeah.
You've just got 2 defensive rebounds.
Yeah.
You're running up the court and you're
Yeah.
given the ball at the top in the same position that you've just hit the other 3 3-pointers. Do you shoot it or do you pass it across the top?
I'm shooting it.
yeah, I know,
That's just me.
right?
I think that Keedy Johnson with the little, what was it, a little, like the palm off to Owen, and he was just trailing on the plate, wasn't he,
Yeah.
after getting the rebound. You've got that ball's got to go
Was
up.
that the one he didn't shoot? Was that the
Yeah.
one?
I think so. Yeah.
That I was
But-
looking at. You must have been on the bench like.
I mean, we all
Bro.
wanted him to shoot it, but you know, Owen's like he's a pass first sort of player, and
Yeah.
he's not selfish at all. So, but when he needs to make it, he'll make it. So.
Oh, that would have been. I would have gone nuts for that.
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, the threes, the draining in the second half. And then, as you say, Flyers were able to run away with the win. Final score in this one: Bristol Flyers 76, Dinamo Bucharest 58. It means Flyers improve. What's the record now? 3 and 4 in ENBL, off the top of my head, which means we have one final game against Kayla Coolbet in 2 weeks' time, out in Estonia. Chance to finish the group stage at 500, and if results go our way, there could be a possibility of qualifying. But I think it's very slim chance of qualifying.
Did we go 0-4 or did we go 1-4?
We went 0-4, I think.
So yeah, so if we come and end,
We've won our last 3.
that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we had a really tough group this year, so it'll be amazing. But I mean, we just got to keep going. I
Yeah,
guess.
as I was saying, I honestly do think that Group B is the I know they try and balance it out as much as possible, but I do think the Group B is more talented. It's a tougher group than the other group.
Yeah.
From what I'm seeing.
What if Newcastle is? What are they? 7
No, but ignore that. Newcastle are playing well, and they deserve to be top of the table. It's not like we're saying that they're in an easy group or anything. Every team in the ENBL is tough. I just feel like the tougher teams are in the Group B.
Yeah, fine.
Let's talk through top scorers. And this one again, no one really was the team's leading scorer in this game. It was a real team effort, wasn't it? Because you got like Keedy on 14 points, you got Kendall on 14 points, Demond on 13, you got Owen on 10, and then Evan on 7. So it was normally sometimes you get games where someone goes off, like on Saturday against Newcastle, like Keedy will go off for 30. This game it was a real team performance.
Yeah, I mean, that's what like we aim for. It's not like everyone can do, like anyone can score on any given night. So like you can see that we're distributing the ball well and giving everyone touches. So yeah.
Tell you what wasn't ideal last night. I was
Go on.
doing my nutting.
Go on.
Free throw percentage was down, wasn't it? 58% last night, Jolie.
No, 58. You're right, 10 for 17. Yeah.
We were there like, come on.
Got to work on those free throws, lads.
Yeah, but then they'll have other games. Like Keedy got 17 from 17 the other week, didn't he?
Yeah,
or
it was
something?
12 for 13 or something like that. Yeah, 11 for 12, I think it was on Saturday.
And then like a few weeks before that
Oh,
as well.
yeah,
Like it was
yeah.
just like, so anyway.
That's the way the ball goes through the net, or doesn't sometimes. That's the way it is. So yeah, big win for Flyers. It means focus switches to Sunday's SLB Cup quarter-final against Caledonia Gladiators. Tickets for that game, by the way, are sold out. You can get, you can watch the game over on DAZN, the new global home of Super League basketball. I remember that off the top of my head now because of the one more final thing I've got to get through here before we wrap up this week's episode of the podcast, and that is the Bristol Sport Event Series. You can run, jump and crawl your way through 2025 for charity. Entries are now open for 3 more challenges in the Bristol Sport Group 24-25 Event Series: the Great Bristol Run, the Bristol Bungee Jump and Tough Mudder. We're doing a bungee jump, aren't we? What's happening here?
We haven't decided yet, but Joel, if we're gonna do it, we just need to start. Right, let's flip and start raising for this charity stuff. Me and you are gonna do this bungee jump, okay?
Yeah, I mean, we should do it. But you can also do it as well. You can embrace your challenge and run, jump or crawl in 2025 in aid of the Bristol Bears Community Foundation, the Robbins Foundation and the Flyers community to tackle the deep-rooted inequalities faced by children, young people and their communities across the city for Bristol. If you're up for the challenge, head to bristolsports.enthuse.com to see all the events and sign up. Also, final bit of news we've got to get to, Sam. Bristol Flyers holiday camps are back in the February half-term holidays. Level up your skills with the Flyers community team at one of our 3 camp locations. They are Cottam School, Yate Academy and St Bernadette Catholic Secondary School. Also, if you book before the end of January, you can save 10% off all camps using the code FEBCAMP10 at checkout. All details over at bristolflyers.co.uk. And that's it for this week's news.
You're listening to the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
And that's it for this week's podcast as well. Pasquale, thanks for joining us on your day off. We appreciate you coming down, man.
That's all right. Enjoyed it. It was really good fun.
It's
Thanks
been a bit of a
for
shame, actually. He's not done any impressions of you, Joel.
Well, it's still time.
And that is all, folks. This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Sponsored by Matchday Live.
Fantastic. Cheers for that, mate. That's a great way to end the show. Reminder, if you're enjoying the podcast, please give us a rating and a review. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Dan, thanks for pushing the buttons. Pasquale, thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
Sam, thanks for hosting with me. And thanks to the listener at home for listening or watching.
And thanks to you, Joel, for everything
Joel.
you do.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate the thank yous. But until next week, we'll see you again soon, right here on the Bristol Flyers Podcast, powered by Matchday Live.